All right, students. Today we will be continuing the coordination and control, and the topic that we are going to discuss, the subtopic, is the mammalian hormones. Right now, perhaps many times you might have heard this word, hormones, but you do not know how do they work and what are their exact function. So today we are going to discuss what are hormones, from where they are released, and what are their functions, and some of the hormones that we will be discussing as well. ठीक है, so this is the syllabus outline that you must know about, in which we have to discuss regarding the hormones, because there is a time when there is a definition that was being asked to you, and it's a 3-mark question, right? So you need to remember, you need to memorize this definition of hormones, right? And after that, you need to should be able to identify and diagram different endocrine glands, and you should know what are their functions and which hormones they release. And then we have to discuss hormone adrenaline, right? Its effect, its function, because pancreatic hormones we also have to discuss, but we will be discussing them more detail in homeostasis when we will be discussing the regulation of blood glucose. And then we will be comparing nervous and hormonal control, right? So let's start with the hormones. What are hormones actually? You might have heard. Now listen, our body has the controlling system, means how the different parts of our body, they are coordinated. And till yet we have discussed the nervous control. Nervous control means how the body organs, they are controlled by the brain and spinal cord, the central nervous system. Now there is another control which is called hormonal control. This is also actually managed by central nervous system. But this is, you could say that there are some actions which are directly responded by the nervous system by nerve impulse, and there are certain actions, there are certain activities in our body which are indirectly basically coordinated by brain, and directly they are coordinated by the hormones, right? So you need to know the definition. A hormone is a chemical substance. Now remember that in nervous control, the message that was being transferred from the receptor cells to the central nervous system, and from the central nervous system to the effectors, that is muscles or glands, through nerve impulse, which was an electrical impulse. But here in hormonal control, a chemical substance is released. Now hormone is actually protein in nature. This is what you need to remember. And all the properties of protein, they are applicable on hormones. Like high temperature, they may denature. As denaturation is not only just for enzymes, but denaturation is also for all the proteins. Means high temperature, extreme pH, they basically make the protein to lose their specific 3D shapes. So hormone is also a 3D structured protein which has a proper function, right? So all the characteristics of proteins are applied on that hormones, right? So there must be, the temperature should remain optimum, the pH of the blood in which the hormone is released from a gland, this should remain also as per, it should not be like extremely alkaline, it should not be extremely acidic. So that's why a blood needs to maintain the temperature and pH, so that these hormones and enzymes, they remain intact. Now hormone is a chemical substance produced by a gland. Now what is a gland? Gland is actually, it can be in any organ, right? It is a structure which is made up of those cells which basically release hormones. And sometimes there are some structures which basically they release hormones as well. They also release some other enzymes as well. The example is pancreas, which is not only a hormone, but it is also which is not only a gland, endocrine gland, but it also releases some enzymes as well, right? It has a specialized cells. Some of the specialized cells release hormones, and some of the specialized cells in pancreas release different enzymes, right? Now what, there are two type of glands in our body. There are two types of glands in our body: exocrine gland and endocrine gland, right? Now what are exocrine gland and endocrine gland, right? So you need to remember them. Exocrine glands and endocrine glands, right? Exocrine glands are those glands which do not secrete hormones, rather they have some secretion, and they do not have the they have a duct with them. Means through duct their secretion are released into the blood or into any other structures, right? While endocrine glands, they do not have a duct. Through these organs there is no duct present, and the hormones which are released by the cells, which are made by the cells, they directly enter into the blood without any duct, right? So exocrine glands, you could say that they have a duct through which their secretion are released, and they are ductless glands, right? Now exocrine glands, example of some of the exocrine glands are sweat glands, right? And tear glands, right? Salivary gland, this is also a gland that releases saliva, right? What is their duct? Duct is actually a vessel through which their secretion is released to some other part of the body. For example, if you remember, we have discussed bile duct, pancreatic duct, right? These duct are those vessels through which the secretion of pancreas and secretion of liver is released into the small intestine, right? So there is a duct which basically carries the secretion of those glands. But endocrine glands do not have any duct. They are these glands have the cells that produce the hormones, and these hormones are secreted. They go out of the cell directly into the blood, right? So blood actually carries the hormones from where it is released to the place where it goes to. This is what you need to understand, right? But exocrine gland, they have a duct which carries them. So usually the secretion of exocrine glands, you won't find them in the blood, because there is a duct through which they are going. For example, bile duct, bile is released by liver. Liver is an exocrine gland as well, it secretes bile. Now that bile is basically stored in gallbladder, and then through bile duct it is released into the small intestine in duodenum. No, yes, exactly. The glands which have duct, they don't secrete hormones. Hormones are secreted by endocrine glands only. And these endocrine glands, they do not have a duct. They are called ductless gland. And these hormones basically they circulate around the body, and they have some target organs where they're moved to, and where they're basically nudge that organ and ask that organ to work. So what is the function of that hormone? It is basically carried by the blood, which alters the activity of one or more specific target organ. I will be giving you an example of hormone. For example, insulin. Insulin is a hormone which is secreted by pancreas. Now, pancreas is an exocrine gland as well and an endocrine gland as well. How it is exo and endo both? Because being as an exocrine gland, it releases pancreatic enzyme that release into the duodenum through pancreatic duct. Then, being as an endocrine gland, it has a special cells which are called islets of Langerhans, right, or the beta cells which secrete hormones like insulin and glucagon. They are secreted into the blood. Now, glucagon and insulin, both hormones, they are secreted by pancreas. They travel in the blood and they go to the cells of the body. And what is their function? They basically instruct them. They basically instruct other cells to start taking in glucose inside them. Insulin is I'm telling this for the insulin, right? So insulin function is actually to lower down the glucose from the blood. Whenever there is a high glucose level in the blood, insulin is released from the pancreas, and it basically asks other cells to take the blood glucose inside them, right? It is not doing the function of making them to get into them. It is basically ask other cells. So it's just another coordinator. It is not doing, it is just basically nudging other cells to do their function of taking in the glucose, right? So Hormones, they have a target organ. They are released by endocrine glands, right? So you could say that, let me say that this is the endocrine gland. This is the endocrine gland. It is secreting hormone, right? And then it goes to the target organ, right? Right? So it has a target organ. Now it may be any cells wherever it has to work. Okay, we will be discussing different hormones, like we will be discussing today the adrenaline, right? Adrenal gland hormone, adrenaline. And we will discuss in homeostasis the hormones of insulin and glucagon. The rest of the hormones like testosterone, like progesterone and estrogen, which are there in our syllabus, we will be discussing in topic 16, that is reproduction. You do not need to identify. uh, Basically in exams they will only need you to identify the endocrine glands, that I am going to share the diagram after discussing the properties of some hormones. Then we will discuss that where which is which hormone, which is which gland, and where it is situated, so don't worry about it, right? So the hormones circulate around the body in the blood, and they eventually reach their target. Now, what is their function? They sometimes speed up and they sometimes slow down, or they sometimes alter the activities of those organs, right? For example, if I talk about adrenaline, right, which is a hormone released from adrenal gland, it sometimes speed up the heart rate. It goes to the heart muscles and asks them to contract vigorously whenever you are doing some exercise, or when you are in tension or stress. It basically asks them to speed up the heart rate. And sometimes it makes it, and for example the same hormone, when you are in stress or when you are in flight or fight mode, that we will be discussing later in the class, that it asks the peristalsis of the digestive system to slow down. And sometimes it asks the cells to alter their activity, that to be more permeable to get the glucose inside in them. So as soon as we will be proceeding in the lecture, you will gradually learn. So after being secreted, they remain temporarily in the blood. Now, what you need to remember is that they are not always there in the blood. Whenever there is a requirement, they are made by the cells. They are secreted into the blood. They do their work. But when their work is done, they are basically taken to the liver, where they are changed into inactive compound, and their basically their byproduct, their waste products are is treated by the kidneys, right? So hormones are any hormone which is released at any given time is never secreted throughout the time 24 by 7. For example, if I talk about insulin, insulin is never secreted 24 by 7 in your body. It is only secreted when there is a high blood glucose level in your in your blood, right? So if there is a high glucose level in your blood, then it will be secreted. Once it will manage to make the glucose level normal, it will go to the insulin will go to the liver, where it is broken down. And because it's not needed, so our body has a system that whenever something is required, it produces it. Whenever it is done with its work, it basically metabolize it, right? So yes, now this is the diagram that you should see, and you can see some of the hormones here, right? So the first hormone, which is sometimes called as the master gland, sorry, not hormone, endocrine gland. These are some of the endocrine glands that we are going to discuss, which are there in your syllabus, right? So the first endocrine gland is the pituitary gland. Yes, we will be discussing regarding diabetic patients when we will be doing homeostasis, right? You will have to wait for the next class, because I don't think so that we will be doing diabetes and need of insulin in this class. We will be discussing diabetes in detail in the next class, inshallah, right? So, pituitary gland. What Now pituitary gland is located nearby your brain, and it is a very small gland, but this is a master endocrine gland because it releases many hormones and which are very very important. And these hormones actually go to the organ, their target organ, where they ask them to make another hormone, right? So for example, if I talk about a pituitary gland, the two hormone that you would be discussing in your syllabus, they are FSH and LH. You would be discussing them in topic 16, that is reproduction in animal. These two hormones are released in females, by the way, follicular stimulating hormone and the luteinizing hormone, and they are associated with the menstruation cycle, right? So they are released by the pituitary gland. They go to these two hormone, basically go to the ovary and ask them to do its function. FSH basically, right? So these two hormones, FSH and LH, and we will also discuss ovary as well. And ovaries hormone we will be discussing in detail in topic 16, not now. We will only discuss in coordination and control the adrenal gland and the pancreatic hormones, that is insulin and glucagon, right? So the first endocrine gland is here. The second endocrine gland that you can see is pancreas, right? So pancreas is an endocrine gland which secretes two hormones. And what are the name of those hormones? One is insulin, right? And second is glucagon, right? Glucagon. Now glucagon is somewhat similar to the word glycogen. Now what happens with a student that they make a mistake, that they sometime write glucagon, in spite of writing glucagon they write glycogen. Now there is a big difference. Glycogen is a polysaccharide, which is the storage form of carbohydrates in animal, while glucagon is a hormone which is released by the pancreas. Okay. Now this adrenal gland, now adrenal gland basically they are situated at the upper side of the kidneys, right? And we will be discussing their hormone adrenaline in detail in today's class. Adrenaline, right? We will, this is one of the hormone. Now in the whole picture, now ovary or testis, now either in human being, if it is female, that they will be having ovaries, right? Or if it is a male, they would be having testis. Now the function of ovary, now the ovary is another gland. Ovaries, which are, there are two ovaries present in a female, and there are in all mammals, right? In all the mammals there are two ovaries present, and the ovary makes the hormone estrogen and progesterone. Estrogen and progesterone, right? And these two hormones we will be discussing in detail in topic 16, animal reproduction. Full form of FSH is follicular stimulating hormone, which basically function is to stimulate the egg maturation in the ovary, right? You do not need, even in the exam, if you write FSH and LH it would be fine, right? You can also write, but if you write, if you know their full name, it would be fine. LH means luteinizing hormone, which basically triggers the ovulation in the females, and FSH is basically related to the egg maturation in the ovaries, right? I am not discussing them in detail because as I will discuss them once we will be doing topic 16, most probably after a month or a half, because after this topic we will be, after coordination and control, we will be doing inheritance, right? Okay. Now as you can see this ovary, now testes are present in males, and that produce the hormone testosterone, right? Although the testosterone is also present in female as well, but the concentration is less as compared to males. And in males estrogen is also produced, by the way, but estrogens and testosterone, their levels are different in both males and females. ठीक है. Primarily, estrogen is produced in females by ovary, but in males, there are some other cells that produce estrogen. Same for the testosterone, which is produced by the testes in males, but in females, it is produced by some other cells. Testost- bete, Testosterone is itself a hormone which is produced by testes. Yes, testosterone is a hormone which is produced by testes. Testis is the endocrine gland here. You can see this is the endocrine gland and that produces testosterone. Testosterone is basically the hormone whose function is to stimulate the formation of sperm productions in males whenever they get adult, whenever they reach puberty. In them, sperm starts to produce, and these sperms are basically triggered by the production of testosterone, right? So all these hormones, the reproductive hormones, we will be discussing in topic 16, that is animal reproduction. All right, now we have to discuss today in detail these adrenal gland. These adrenal gland and their secretion, adrenaline, and what are their impacts. Now, adrenal glands are attached to the back of the abdominal cavity, one above each kidney, right? And there are certain effects of the body. Now, before discussing the effects of the body, I would like to discuss, but basically, what happens uh, in the hormonal secretion, and how do the endocrine gland secrete something, and what is the pathway of hormonal control, right? So you should also know the pathway of hormonal control, right? So font is too small. Pathway of hormonal control. For example, let's talk about in reference of insulin. Okay. For example, if your glucose level in blood becomes higher, right? Now this is actually sensed by the sensory, the receptors, right, which are present in hypothalamus, right? And there are receptors which are there in your body. Okay, they basically sense that there is a glucose level which is high. Receptor sense the glucose, high glucose level, right? They send the message to the CNS by sensory neuron. Now sensory neuron carries the nerve impulse from receptors to CNS. ठीक है, CNS means brain and spinal cord. Here brain is involved. Okay, now this brain is basically analyze the situation that yes, glucose in blood is high, so it sends the message from relay neuron to motor neuron to effectors. Now this is the nerve impulse that is going on, right? Motor neuron, and then this motor neuron is basically taking the message from the CNS to the effectors. Now what are the effector in this case? Effector is the pancreas. As you know, as you remember that when we were discussing the reflex arc, or the pathway through which brain sends the message or from the receptor till effectors, so I mentioned you that effectors are basically the muscles or they are the glands. Like for example, in the reflex section we had some muscles, for example in the muscles of the arm, that's why we lift up our hands whenever we touch any hot object, right? So that were that at that time the effectors were muscles. But in hormonal controls, the effectors are always the pancreas, or always the endocrine gland. For example, here it is the pancreas in case of blood glucose high, right? Now, from pancreas, it receives the message from the brain that the glucose level is high, so start releasing insulin. This is the message that brain has sent to the effector, that is the pancreas, right? Endocrine gland. Now this pancreas is basically releasing secretes. Now its pancreas secretes insulin, right? Now this secreted insulin, it is a hormone, it has a target organ. And what are the target organ? Target organs are all the cells, right? The cells, right? And the cells of liver and muscles, and they are the target cells. Now insulin travel from the blood, from the pancreas to the liver and muscles, and what it instruct to take glucose in and convert it into glycogen in its storage form, right? So actually the task of taking in glucose is done by liver cells and muscle cells, but the messenger who is basically delivering the message, right, to lower down the glucose is the insulin, is the hormone which was released by a gland, and it goes to its target cells. Now cells of livers and muscle are its target organs where it instructs them, right? Instructs, guide, you could say that, to take glucose in and convert it into glycogen, right? So when the glucose starts to go inside the cell, it will start to get lower in the blood. So once the blood glucose level becomes normal, insulin stop its function and goes to the liver and metabolize over there. It's no more, because if insulin stays in the blood, it will be asking the cells to keep on doing their function, and our blood level, glucose level, will lower down. So that would be fatal for us. We can die if the blood glucose level is falls down. So that's why after doing its function, insulin goes to the liver where it is metabolized, right? So its function is done. Insulin is a hormone, beta, endocrine hormone. This is a hormone which is released by endocrine gland. Since you joined the class late, that's why you are unable to understand the question. Okay, now this is how the pathway of hormonal control is done, right? Convert into glycogen. Once the glucose level is normal, insulin stops its function, goes to liver and get metabolized. Means over there it is metabolized, that is it over there, the liver basically change into inactive compound, because it does not have to remain active, because it will, if it will remain active, it will be keep on producing its effect, which we would really don't want, right? So this is the pathway of the hormonal control, how it is happening. Now we are going to discuss that how adrenal gland, whose secretion is adrenaline, how it is doing, what are the effects. For example, the effect of insulin is to lower down the glucose level, right? There are many effects of adrenal glands hormone, that is adrenaline. There are many effects that is carry out. For example, it is released when it is released. First of all, you must know when it is released. It is released when you are in stress, when you are excited, when you are happy, when you are in fear, right? When you are afraid of something, or these are the situations when this hormone start to be released. When you are in anger, right? When you are anticipating something. For example, have you ever thought that whenever you have a result day and your result is about to get announced, so those who have appeared in O2 when their result was getting announced this year, I think it was 19th or 18th of August, right? How was it happening? Your heart was beating fast, you were having a high breathing rate as well, and on the same time you did not feel like to have something, you were not hungry, right? And you feel like to go washroom many times. So these were the effects, because at that time you had some excitement, you had some fear, and you were stressed, nervous. So all these situation adrenaline is basically released, and its function is to basically prepare the body to fight or fly at that time. It's to prepare the body to cope up with the challenge which it is facing. For example, if you are in stress, right, then your body gets a signal, and adrenaline basically is released to prepare your body to face the challenge. And the sum of the effects that basically it does is, in a stressful situation, nerve impulses are basically sent from the brain to the adrenal gland, which releases adrenaline into the blood. Now, what happened that whenever you are in stress, your brain is detecting the stress, not your brain, the receptors cells in your brain detecting the stress, and the message is taken from the brain to the adrenal gland to release adrenaline into the blood. Now, its presence basically causes the breathing to become faster and deeper. Why? Because faster and deeper breathing will bring more oxygen to your cells, right? And this may be particularly clear as we want to breathe, right? The heart beats faster, resulting in an increase in pulse rate. So, whenever you are excited, whenever you are in fear, right? For example, you are all alone in the house and it's nighttime and it's 2 a.m. in the house and everything is dark, and suddenly you started feeling the sounds of something. What would happen? At first instant, within moment, your heart start to beat fast. Now, why your heart started to beat fast? You are not running, you do not require uh, that much oxygen, because your muscles are not that much contracting, or respiration is not happening. Why? Because here you have a fear, right? And perhaps you would need to run away. Why your heart is beating faster, you are having more breathing rate, perhaps at that time you may need to run away, and for running away your body is preparing to have more oxygen, more glucose reach to your muscles of your legs so that you may run away. So actually the adrenal gland secretion, that is adrenaline, is preparing your body to run away. Whenever you are crossing the road and you are just in middle of the road, what happens? Right? If a car is approaching you, your heart starts beating faster, so that more oxygen and glucose reaches to your muscles and you may run to cross the road. So this is something, fight or fly. Either you would be fighting with it or either you would be running. So your body is actually prepared by uh, this hormone to fly or fight in this situation, right? So this increase in heart rate can be quite worrying, making us feel as if our heart is going to burst out of our chest, right? So you might have feel. Another thing, the pupils of our eye dilate, making them look much blacker, right? So if it is a night time, right, the basically the pupil the iris reflects, or the pupil reflex occur faster, so that more light can go into your eyes. And if it is darkness, you should more light go into your eyes, and you would be able to see more clearly in the darkness, so that in order to avoid the danger which is there, which you are feeling, right? So these are the effects. Secondly, in the liver, it stimulates the conversion of glycogen to glucose. Glycogen is basically the storage form of glucose, and adrenaline basically makes the glycogen to convert it into glucose, so that more glucose is present, more respiration can occur. And that's why those diabetes patients who have even they are fasting, the sugar levels are high. Why they are high? Because they are in stress, and stress makes their liver to convert the glycogen into glucose, which actually is not required. There is already much glucose there in your blood, but why your liver is converting glycogen into glucose? Because perhaps adrenaline is thinking that you are in stressful condition, you would need more oxygen to breathe, for respiration. Perhaps you would need it because there are more things happening in your body. So that's why taking stress for a diabetic patient, it's not good at all, and their blood glucose levels are always high. During result, it prepares us to cry after results. If your result is like to cry on, yes, sometimes you cry even if you are happy. This is a reflex. Yes, yes, adrenaline has many impacts. During those stressful conditions, you do not feel like to eat something, you are no more hungry. Why you are no more hungry? Because your peristaltic movements, they have slowed down by the adrenaline glands, because peristalsis movements require muscles, they require energy. So basically your body is saving that energy for your muscles to run away in spite of doing the peristalsis, right? So during stress, your peristalsis in your digestive tract is slowed down, and that's why you do not feel hungry, and more urination occurs, right? And adrenal gland also, it, one more thing which is you will not be able to see on the screen, is your skin becomes paler. Have you ever observed that whenever you are whenever you have a fear, right, so your skin becomes paler. Now, why it becomes paler? Because your blood slows down to flow underneath your skin. And we will discuss more in detail this in homeostasis when we will be discussing the vasodilation and vasoconstriction. Okay, you won't understand this right now, but you will understand one once we will discuss shunt vessels and vasoconstriction and vasodilation in homeostasis. Your skin also becomes paler whenever you are scared. What happens? You start feeling paler. Your skin becomes pale because less blood is flowing underneath your skin. And why it happens, we will be discussing in homeostasis. Adrenaline has an important role in the control of metabolic activity. Increased levels of glucose available to cells enable them to respire faster, making more energy available, which is fine whenever you have to run or whenever you have to do something. But for the diabetic patient, taking stress is never good, because the stress makes adrenaline to make more, and this adrenaline basically continuously converting glycogen into glucose, which is not good, which is basically continuously increasing your blood glucose level. So these effects all make us more able to react quickly and strongly, right? So how it is helping to react quickly and strongly in dangerous situations, known as fight or flight, या तो लड़ लो या भाग जाओ, right? When we might need to run away or put up a struggle, right? A struggle, it's not like the way to fight with someone, but to fight with the situation whenever we have to face the situation or whenever we have to escape from the situation. Okay, however, in many stressful situations like taking examination or giving a public performance, vigorous activity is not needed. So the extra adrenaline in our body just make us feel tense and anxious. So whenever we have more adrenaline releasing in our body than requirement, we start feel tense and anxious, right? And whenever it is not no more needed, it is quickly converted by the liver to a less active compound, which is excreted by the kidney. Because as I discussed earlier, that hormones, after doing their work, they basically go to the liver where they are metabolized into a less active compound, because hormones do not have to stay throughout the time in our body, otherwise they would be doing their effect, they would be keep on nudging the target organs to do their functions, and that may be not good for our health, right? Why glycogen converted first, the glucose was converted? I'm not, Peter, your question is not clear. Let me tell you, actually these are the two hormones, actually what happens whenever we have extra glucose in our blood, the normal mechanism says that convert the glucose into glycogen. This is done by insulin, right? But whenever adrenaline is there, It doesn't care if the blood glucose level is higher normal in our blood. It makes the glycogen to be converted into glucose, because what adrenaline think is that you are in stress, perhaps you would need more energy to run away or have to challenge face the challenge, so you would need more energy, and for energy production respiration would be needed, and for respiration glucose is the raw material. So that's why it is converting the storage form into the usable form, that is the glucose. Got it? Now another thing that you would need to remember, first glucose is converted because our blood, if more glucose is remain inside our blood, what would happen? What would be the impact of more glucose in our blood? Yes, please, I have many students here. So please students reply, if the blood glucose level is higher, what is going to be the impact of this higher blood glucose level in the blood? What is its effect on different things? High blood glucose level means low water potential. Please relate it to the topic 3, movement into out of cell. When is there more sugar in any solution, the water potential becomes lower. So if there is more glucose in the blood, the water potential will be lower, and due to the lower water potential, the adjacent cell will start to release their water into the blood. Right? So the blood would become thinner, and when the blood would be thinner and our cells start to release their water, so there the cells will be shrinked, the adjacent cells would be shrink, and their activities would be halted, right? Because if there is no water, if there is less water, no metabolism would be occurring in those cells. So this is actually very very you could say that not good at all. It is an unhealthy situation, your blood, because when there is more glucose, your blood would be thickened. When your blood would be thickened, so it would be flowing fast or flowing slow. It would be flowing slow, right? So it's same as a starch acid. Exactly, because when the plants are making glucose by photosynthesis, at the time the glucose is forming, at the same time they are converting it into starch, so that the water potential of the cells is not disturbed, because glycogen and starch both are insoluble form of carbohydrates, and insoluble carbohydrates never disturb the water potential. The main task of the body, the one of the main task of the body, is to maintain the water potential of the cells and blood, because if anywhere the water potential is disturbed, the adjacent cells will be releasing their water towards those cells. Got it? Now the we have to discuss that what is the difference between an endocrine control and the nervous control. Endocrine control we can also say, or we can also say it hormonal control. What is the difference? So actually nervous control is also involved in hormonal control, right? But what are the difference? In hormonal control, chemicals are released, that is protein is being made. In nervous control, there is a transmission of electrical impulse. Hormonal control is done by the transmission through blood, right? Blood is basically hormones are released in the blood. And in nerves, well, the nervous control is done by the transmission of the electrical impulse in nerves. Now, endocrine gland is slow. Why it is slow? Because obviously it takes a little bit time to produce. For example, if your blood glucose level becomes higher, it will become lower in a time, in an hour or so. But whenever you touch any hot object, within microseconds you pull up your hand, you lift up your hand. This is the nerve's impulse speed. Whenever there is any dust in the environment, you sneeze. Now sneeze is a reflex action, that is something that is done by the nerve impulse only, right? So the nervous control is quite rapid, in which the electrical impulse is sent directly to the target organ. But in hormonal control, the organ which has to do the function, it is basically indirectly treated, because first the hormones will be dispersed into the blood, then from blood it is taken to the target organ, and not only to the target organ, hormone would be going everywhere. Because if your pancreas is releasing insulin, right, this blood is taken to the heart first, then this heart will be pumping the blood to all cells, to all parts of the body. So actually it's quite slower, but it's slower, but it has long term effects that your hormones stays for hours to days in your body. But nervous control is a short term effect, seconds, for seconds it's there, right? It's not there for hours or for days. For example, if I talk about the hormones of females in menstruation cycle that we will be studying in topic 16, they stay there in the female body for days, right? For days they are there. And for example, insulin, it's there in your body for hours. Glucagon is there in your body for hours. But nervous control, the nerve impulse, is it just for seconds. Very right, Ahmad. The glucose is stored so that it may be used when body needs energy. Because whenever we have something extra in our body, except the amino acids, the body store them so that whenever there is a use and whenever there is no supply of those nutrients from outside, the body may use the stored nutrients, right? So this is with that, this completes our hormonal control, that is endocrine glands. And if you see the syllabus content, we have done with the hormone description. We have also done the description of the diagram: adrenal gland, pancreas, pituitary gland, testis, and the functions of the hormones and the hormones that they are releasing. Then we also discuss the role of the hormone adrenaline and the impacts which it produces. We also compared nervous and hormonal control limited to speed of action and duration. We have done that, right? So this completes our hormones topic, right?